Say my name. I want to hear you say it.
Min-jun.
The silk sheets were ruined. Anna didn't care. Her back arched off the hotel mattress as Min-jun's mouth traced fire down her throat, his hands, rough, tattooed, possessive, gripping her thighs hard enough to bruise. She should stop this, should push him away, should remember all the reasons this was a catastrophically bad idea. Instead, she pulled him closer. Say my name. His voice was gravel and sin against her collarbone, the short gold chain around his neck brushing her skin with each movement. The ink covering his arms, his chest, his back, dragons and smoke and Korean script she couldn't read in the dim light, rippled as he moved. I want to hear you say it. Min-jun. It came out broken, desperate. Again. Min-jun, please. He lifted his head, dark eyes burning into hers. The beard that framed his jaw was perfectly groomed, devastating. At 29, he looked like sin personalized, every hard muscle earned, every tattoo deliberate. Please what, Dr. Kwon? Use your words. She hated him. Hated that he could reduce her to this, 45 years old, accomplished, respected, and completely undone by a man 15 years younger who looked at her like she was his last meal. This was supposed to be one night. A mistake. Something she could blame on the wine and the adrenaline crash after the surgery that had gone too long, claimed too much of her. One night, and then she'd go back to her carefully controlled life. His thumb traced her lower lip, his weight pinning her to the mattress. You're thinking too much. One of us should be thinking. No, he kissed her again, slower this time, deliberate. Not tonight. Tonight you're mine. Think tomorrow. And God help her, she surrendered. 3 weeks earlier. The bullet had nicked the femoral artery. Anna's hands moved with mechanical precision, her voice calm as she called for clamps, for suction, for more blood. The OR was controlled chaos, but this was her domain. Here she was God. Here she decided who lived and died. BP dropping, her resident called out. I see it. Increase the pressors. Her fingers moved faster, tying off vessels, repairing damage. How much blood do we have left? 2 units. Get 4 more. Move. 23 minutes later, the patient was stable. Anna stripped off her gloves, exhaustion settling into her bones like lead. Another save. Another life pulled back from the edge. She didn't ask questions about the gunshot wound. In Seoul's underbelly, questions got you killed. The waiting room held 3 men in expensive suits, their eyes hard, their postures screaming danger. Anna had seen enough gang violence to recognize the type. She approached the oldest one, keeping her voice professional. He'll live. The bullet missed the artery by millimeters. He's lucky. When can we see him? Recovery in 2 hours. I see you after that, no more than 2 visitors. She turned to leave. Dr. Kwon. The voice stopped her cold. He was leaning against the far wall, arms crossed, watching her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. Younger than the others, late 20s, maybe, but clearly in charge based on how they all deferred to him. Tall, built like he lived in the gym, with ink crawling up his neck and disappearing under his collar. The short gold chain at his throat caught the fluorescent light. Devastatingly, handsome, in a way that probably got him anything he wanted. That's me, she said carefully. Kang Min-jun. He pushed off the wall, moving with predatory grace. The man you just saved works for me. Then you're welcome. His lips quirked. You didn't ask what happened. Not my business. Smart. He stopped in front of her, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. He smelled like expensive cologne and danger. How much do I owe you for your discretion? My discretion isn't for sale. My silence is professional policy. She met his gaze steadily, refusing to be intimidated. Your man got lucky. Next time he might not. Maybe consider a different line of work. She walked away before he could respond. Behind her, she heard one of his men mutter something in Korean. Then Min-jun's voice, amused. I like her. Anna kept walking, her heart pounding harder than it should. 1 week later. The orchids arrived at the hospital on a Monday. Rare, expensive, arranged in a crystal vase that probably cost more than her monthly car payment. The card was simple, for the woman who doesn't ask questions. K. Anna told herself to throw them away. She put them on her desk instead. Tuesday brought wine, a 1990 Chateau Margaux that she'd mentioned loving exactly once, years ago, to a colleague. How he knew was a mystery she didn't want to solve. Wednesday, he showed up. Anna was leaving the hospital at 11 p.m., exhausted from a double shift, when she saw him leaning against a black Mercedes in the parking garage. Same predatory grace, same dangerous smile. "This is stalking," she said, not breaking stride toward her car. "This is courting." He fell into step beside her. "There's a difference." "Is there?" "I haven't broken any laws, yet." She stopped at her car, turning to face him. "What do you want, Mr. Kang?" "Min-jun, and I want to take you to dinner." "No." "Why not?" "Because I know what you are." She unlocked her car. "And I'm not interested in being collateral damage in whatever war you're fighting." "What if I told you I'm not fighting any wars right now?" "I'd call you a liar." He laughed, genuine, surprised. "Fair, but the offer stands. Dinner, somewhere public, no expectations." The answer is still no. She got in her car, started the engine. He didn't move, just watched her with those dark eyes that saw too much. As she drove away, she checked her rearview mirror. He was still watching. 2 weeks later, Anna found him in her favorite wine bar at 9 p.m. on a Friday. She'd come here to decompress after the worst shift of her career. A 6-year-old girl, a car accident, injuries too severe, time too short. She'd done everything right and it hadn't mattered. The girl had died anyway. Anna ordered a whiskey, neat, double, and tried not to see the mother's face every time she closed her eyes. Rough day. She didn't jump. Somehow she'd known he'd be here. Min-jun slid onto the stool beside her, signaling the bartender. "Whatever she's having, and keep them coming." "I don't need a babysitter." "Good thing I'm not offering to babysit." His eyes tracked her face, reading things she didn't want him to see. "I'm offering to sit with someone who looks like she shouldn't be alone tonight." "You don't know me." "I know you just lost a patient. I know you're trying very hard not to cry. I know you came here instead of going home because you don't want to be alone with your thoughts." He accepted his drink from the bartender. "Am I wrong?" She hated that he wasn't. They drank in silence for a while. He didn't push, didn't pry, just existed beside her. Solid. Present. When her hands started shaking around the third drink, he simply took the glass and set it aside. "Come on." "What?" "You're drunk. I'm taking you home." "I can get a cab." Anna, the way he said her name, familiar, possessive, should have annoyed her. Instead, it did something warm and dangerous in her chest. "Let me take you home. No ulterior motives. You shouldn't be alone tonight." She was too tired, too drunk, too broken to argue. His car was warm leather and tinted windows. She gave him her address, then leaned her head against the window and closed her eyes. "Tell me about her," he said quietly. "Who?" "The patient you lost." Anna's throat tightened. 6 years old, brown eyes, she liked butterflies. Her mother said she wanted to be an entomologist when she grew up. Her voice cracked. "I did everything right, it wasn't enough." "It never is, for the ones we can't save." She turned to look at him. "You sound like you know." His jaw tightened, the streetlights casting shadows across the tattoos on his neck. "I've lost people. Different circumstances, same feeling. Like you're standing in the ruins wondering what you could have done differently." "Does it get easier?" "No, you just get better at carrying it." When they reached her apartment, he walked her to the door. She fumbled with her keys, and he took them gently, unlocking it for her. "Thank you," she said. He handed back her keys, his fingers brushing hers. "Anna." "Yes." "You're an incredible doctor. That little girl was lucky to have you fighting for her, even if—" He stopped. "Even if it wasn't enough, don't carry that like it's your failure." Something in her chest cracked open. She kissed him. Later, she'd blame the alcohol, the grief, the way he'd been exactly what she needed without her having to ask. But in the moment, she just reached up, fisted her hand in his shirt, and pulled him down to her mouth. He went still for a heartbeat, surprise, maybe. Then his hands came up to frame her face, and he kissed her back like she was oxygen and he was drowning. Inside, she breathed against his mouth. Now. They barely made it through the door. He took his time undressing her, which was its own kind of torture. Anna's back hit the wall of her hallway, his mouth hot on her throat as his hands, tattooed, capable, reverent, worked the buttons of her blouse. The gold chain at his neck swung forward, cool against her heated skin. "Tell me to stop," he murmured against her collarbone. "Tell me this is a bad idea and I'll walk away." She should. God, she should. Instead, she pulled his shirt over his head and nearly forgot how to breathe. The tattoos covered him, elaborate dragons coiling across his chest, smoke and flame up his ribs, Korean script she couldn't read scattered between the artwork. Every muscle was defined, earned, deliberate. He looked like violence and sex and very bad decisions. "You're starring," he said, amused. She touched his chest, tracing the edge of a dragon. "You're beautiful." "So are you." His hands spanned her waist, lifting her easily. Her legs wrapped around him on instinct. "Do you know how many times I've imagined this? How many nights I've pictured you exactly like this? We barely know each other." "I know enough." He carried her toward the bedroom, his mouth finding hers again. "I know you take your coffee black. I know you do Pilates 3 times a week. I know you divorced your husband 2 years ago because he was a cheating bastard who didn't deserve you. I know you're brilliant and guarded and scared of wanting things because wanting things has hurt you before." She pulled back, searching his face. "How do you know all that?" "Because I pay attention." He laid her on the bed, his weight settling over her in a way that should have felt trapped, but instead felt safe. "And because I want you. Have wanted you since you walked out of that OR looking like an avenging angel covered in someone else's blood." "That's insane." "Probably." His mouth trailed down her throat, her collarbone, the valley between her breasts. "Tell me to stop, Anna. Last chance." She threaded her fingers through his hair instead, pulling him back up to kiss him. They fell into each other like drowning. The morning after, Anna woke to sunlight streaming through her bedroom window and the immediate, crushing realization of what she'd done. Min-jun was asleep beside her, one tattooed arm thrown across her waist, his face relaxed in a way that made him look younger. Almost innocent, if you ignored the evidence of violence scattered across his skin in permanent ink. She'd slept with a gangster, a man 15 years her junior, a man who was dangerous and wrong and absolutely not what her carefully rebuilt life needed. She needed to end this, now, before it became complicated. Moving carefully, she slipped out of bed and pulled on a robe. In the kitchen, she made coffee with shaking hands, trying to figure out what to say. "Last night was a mistake. This can't happen again. Please leave." "You're planning your escape speech." She jumped, turning to find him leaning in the kitchen doorway, wearing only his pants, tattoos on full display. His hair was mussed from sleep, and from her fingers, and he looked unfairly good for someone who should be leaving. "I'm making coffee," she said. "You're thinking very loudly about how to kick me out." He moved into the kitchen, all casual confidence. "Save your breath, I'll go, but first we're going to talk." "There's nothing to talk about." "Anna," he stopped in front of her, close but not touching. "Last night happened, we can't unhappen it, and I'm not going to pretend it meant nothing. It was a mistake." "It wasn't." His jaw set, stubborn. "You needed someone, I was there. And yes, we ended up in bed, but that's not all it was. Not for me." "Min-jun, I want to see you again." "No." "Why not?" "Because this is insane." She set down her coffee cup before she dropped it. "You're 29, I'm 45. You're whatever you are, and I'm a surgeon with a reputation to maintain. This was one night. It can't be more than that." "Why not?" he repeated, calmer than she felt. "Because it won't work, because people will talk, because you'll get bored, because," her voice cracked, Because I've already been left once for someone younger and I'm not doing that again. Understanding flickered across his face. Your ex-husband is none of your business. He's an idiot. Min-jun. Any man who had you and threw you away is an idiot, and I'm not him. He stepped closer, his hand coming up to cup her face. I don't get bored easily, Anna, and when I want something, really want it, I don't walk away just because it's complicated. You don't know what you want. This was just... Don't. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. Don't diminish this. Don't tell me what I feel. I'm not a child and I'm not confused. I want you. I've wanted you since that first night in the hospital, and I'm willing to work for this if you are. She pulled back, wrapping her arms around herself. I can't, I'm sorry, but I can't. Something shifted in his expression. Disappointment, maybe, but also determination. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to force this. If you want me to leave, I'll leave. He grabbed his shirt from where it had been discarded in the hallway. But I'm not giving up, Anna. I'm going to keep showing up. Keep proving that I mean what I say. And eventually, you're going to stop lying to yourself about what you want. That's... See you around, Dr. Kwon. He kissed her forehead, gentle, devastating, and walked out. Anna stood in her kitchen, listening to her front door close, and told herself she'd done the right thing. The orchids on her counter mocked her with their continued bloom. Week 3. He kept his word. Flowers arrived every Monday, wine every Wednesday, small gifts that showed he was paying attention, a first-edition medical text she'd mentioned wanting, tickets to a gallery showing an artist she loved, a scarf in exactly her favorite shade of blue. She told herself to return them. She kept everything. He showed up at the hospital twice, never intrusively, never when she was working, just there when she finished her shift, leaning against his car, holding coffee from her favorite shop. I'm not going to have dinner with you, she said the first time. I know, I brought you coffee anyway. He handed it over. You worked a double, figured you could use it. How did you know I worked a double? I pay attention. That smile again, the one that made her stomach flip. Drive safe, Anna. He left before she could argue. The second time, she was angrier. You need to stop this. Stop what? Bringing you coffee, making sure you're okay. He leaned against his car, arms crossed. I'm not doing anything illegal. You're harassing me. Am I? His eyebrow arched. Have I touched you without permission, threatened you, followed you anywhere you didn't go voluntarily, or am I just existing in public spaces and occasionally giving you gifts? You know what you're doing. I'm courting you, old-fashioned, I know, but I'm a traditional guy in some ways. He pushed off his car. You can keep saying no, Anna. I'll keep respecting that boundary, but I'm also going to keep showing you that I'm serious, that I'm not going anywhere, that I meant what I said. Why? The word burst out of her, frustrated and confused. Why me? You could have anyone. I don't want anyone. He stepped closer, his voice dropping. I want the woman who saves lives and doesn't ask for gratitude. I want the woman who's brilliant and guarded and scared as hell of letting anyone in. I want you, Anna, exactly as you are. Her pulse hammered. You don't know me. Then let me... His hand came up, stopping just short of touching her face. Let me take you to dinner. Let me learn all the things I don't know yet. What's the worst that could happen? I could fall for you, she thought. I could let myself want this, and then watch you leave when reality sets in. I have to go, she said instead. He dropped his hand, nodding. Okay, but Anna. What? I'm patient, but I'm also persistent, just so you know. He was still watching when she drove away. Week 4. The hospital fundraiser was supposed to be boring. Anna had worn her best dress, black, elegant, showing just enough to be interesting without being scandalous, and prepared for 3 hours of small talk with donors and colleagues who wanted to discuss budgets and protocols. She wasn't prepared for Min-jun. He appeared halfway through the evening, devastating in a tailored suit that probably cost more than her monthly salary. The tattoos on his neck were visible above his collar, the gold chain catching the light. He moved through the crowd with the ease of someone who owned every room he walked into. Their eyes met across the ballroom. Anna's heart stopped. Dr. Sarah Kim appeared at her elbow, following her gaze. "Oh my, who is that?" "No one," Anna said too quickly. "Honey, that's not no one. That's good God, is he coming over here?" He was. Min-jun crossed the ballroom like a man on a mission, ignoring the heads that turned to track his movement. When he reached them, his smile was polite, professional, and completely predatory. "Dr. Kwon, you look stunning." "Mr. Kang," she kept her voice level, "I didn't know you were interested in hospital fundraisers." "I'm interested in a lot of things." His eyes held hers, the subtext clear. "I made a donation earlier, seemed like a worthy cause." Sarah cleared her throat. "I'm Dr. Sarah Kim, oncology." "Kang Min-jun, pleasure." He shook her hand, charming and appropriate, before his attention returned to Anna. "Could I steal Dr. Kwon for a dance?" "I don't think." "She'd love to," Sarah said, shooting Anna a look that said we're talking about this later. "Go ahead, Anna." Anna let him lead her to the dance floor, because refusing would cause more of a scene. His hand settled on her waist, warm and possessive through the thin fabric of her dress. Her hand found his shoulder, feeling muscle beneath expensive fabric. "You're making a scene," she murmured as they began to move. "I'm dancing with the most beautiful woman in the room. If that's a scene, I'm guilty." "People are starring." "Let them," he pulled her slightly closer. "You've been avoiding me." "I've been working." "You've been hiding." His thumb brushed her waist. "I can tell the difference." A woman appeared at the edge of the dance floor, young, stunning, wearing a dress that cost more than Anna's car. She caught Min-jun's eye, smiled invitingly. Something sharp twisted in Anna's chest. Jealousy, which was ridiculous because she had no claim on him, had turned him down repeatedly, had no right to feel anything about random women smiling at him. "Friend of yours." The words came out harder than intended. Min-jun followed her gaze, then smiled slow, knowing. "Jealous, Anna." "Don't be ridiculous." "Your pulse just spiked. You won't look at me. You're trying very hard to seem unaffected." He leaned closer, his mouth near her ear. "You're jealous." "I'm not." "I don't want her. I don't want any of them." His hand tightened on her waist. "I want the woman who's terrified to admit she wants me back." "You're delusional." "Am I? Then why are your hands shaking? Why did you look like you wanted to commit murder when she smiled at me? Why are you still in my arms instead of walking away?" "Because she couldn't. God help her, she couldn't." The song ended. Anna pulled back, needing distance, needing air, needing to think clearly. "Excuse me, I need." She didn't finish, just turned and walked toward the bathrooms. Of course he followed. He caught her in the hallway, empty and dim after the bright ballroom. "Anna." "Don't," she spun to face him. "Just don't, okay? This is exactly why I said no. This," she gestured between them, "is impossible. You're young and successful and you have women like that throwing themselves at you. What the hell do you want with me?" "You." "That's not an answer." "It's the only answer." He stepped closer, backing her against the wall, not threatening, just there, overwhelming. "I don't want easy, I don't want simple. I don't want women who fall into my lap because of who I am or what I have. I want the challenge. I want the woman who makes me work for it. I want you." "You'll get bored." "I won't." "You don't know that." "Anna." His hands came up to bracket her head, caging her in without touching. "I've killed men. I've built an empire on blood and fear and calculated violence. I don't do anything casually. When I decide I want something, I commit. Completely. And I've decided I want you." Her breath caught. "That's insane." "Maybe, but it's true." His eyes searched hers. "Tell me you don't feel this. Tell me you don't lie awake thinking about that night. Tell me you don't want me to kiss you right now and I'll walk away. I'll leave you alone. But you have to mean it, Anna. No more hiding behind excuses." She should tell him to leave. Should end this before it became something she couldn't control. Instead, she fisted her hands in his jacket and pulled him down to her mouth. He kissed her like a man starving, his hands finally touching her, one sliding into her hair, the other gripping her waist, pulling her flush against him. She could feel every hard line of him, the evidence of what this did to him, and it made something in her chest crack wide open. "Come home with me," he breathed against her mouth. "I can't." "You can," his forehead pressed to hers. "Stop overthinking, stop being scared, just come home with me. Let me show you what this could be." "One night," she heard herself say. "Just tonight and then." "And then we'll see." He kissed her again, softer. "Come on." She let him lead her out a side exit, into the night, into his car that smelled like leather and expensive cologne and terrible decisions. She told herself it was just one more night. She was lying. His penthouse. The view was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline, modern furniture, artwork that probably cost more than her yearly salary. Anna barely noticed. Min-jun's hands were on her the moment the door closed, spinning her to face him, backing her against the wall. His mouth found her throat, her jaw, finally her lips in a kiss that felt like claiming. "I've been patient," he murmured against her skin. "So fucking patient. But I'm done waiting, Anna. Done pretending I don't want you so badly it's driving me insane." Min-jun. His hands found the zipper of her dress, sliding it down with agonizing slowness. "Tell me to stop." She couldn't, the words wouldn't come. The dress pooled at her feet. His sharp intake of breath was gratifying, his eyes dark as they traced over her. "You're perfect," he said roughly. "Do you know that? 45 and you look, Christ, Anna, you're devastating." "I do Pilates." "I don't care how you look like this. I just care that you're here, that you're mine, even if it's just for tonight." He lifted her easily, her legs wrapping around his waist. "Though I'm going to do everything I can to make sure it's not just tonight." He carried her to the bedroom, laying her on sheets that felt like silk. She watched as he stripped, revealing all that ink, all that muscle, all that barely controlled intensity. When he settled over her, his weight pinning her to the mattress, she felt something click into place. Something dangerous and perfect and absolutely terrifying. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know." He kissed her gently, at odds with the hunger in his eyes. "But I've got you. I promise, Anna, I've got you." And then there were no more words, just sensation and heat, and the feeling of falling into something she'd never be able to climb back out of. 3 days later. Anna tried to go back to normal. She went to work, performed surgeries, pretended everything was fine. Min-jun let her pretend for exactly 48 hours. Then he showed up at her apartment at midnight with takeout from her favorite restaurant and a look that said he knew exactly what she was doing. "Go away," she said, not opening the door fully. "No," he held up the bag. "I brought food. You didn't eat dinner. Let me in, Anna." "How do you know I didn't eat?" "Because you never eat after a 12-hour shift. You come home, shower, and collapse. So let me in before your neighbors start asking questions." She let him in, because he was right about the neighbors. He moved through her apartment like he belonged there, unpacking containers, grabbing plates from her kitchen like he'd done this 100 times. "This has to stop," she said. "What does?" "This, us, whatever this is." She wrapped her arms around herself. "It was 2 nights, that's all it can be." "Why?" "Because I'm not doing this, Min-jun. I'm not. I can't be what you want." He set down the container he was holding, turning to face her fully. "What do I want, Anna? Tell me, since you apparently know better than I do." "You want, I don't know, the chase, the conquest, something different. But eventually you'll wake up and realize you're with a woman who's almost 50, who has stretch marks and gray hairs she covers and a career that demands everything from her. You'll realize you could have someone younger, easier." "Stop." The single word cracked like a whip. He crossed to her in 3 strides, his hands framing her face. "Stop telling me what I want. Stop making decisions for me. Stop hiding behind your ex-husband's failures and pretending they're yours." "They are mine." "No, they're his. He's the one who couldn't see what he had. He's the one who threw away something precious for something shiny and new. He's the idiot, Anna, not you. His thumbs brushed her cheekbones. And I am not him. You say that now. I'll say it every day for the rest of my life if that's what it takes. His eyes burned into hers. I don't want easy. I don't want young. I don't want someone who agrees with everything I say and never challenges me. I want you, your intelligence, your strength, your refusal to be impressed by the things that impress everyone else, the way you save lives and don't ask for thanks, the way you look at me like you can't decide if you want to kiss me or kill me. Min-jun, I'm falling for you. The confession hung between them, raw and honest. Maybe I've already fallen, I don't know, but I know I think about you constantly. I know seeing you smile makes my entire day better. I know the thought of you pushing me away because you're scared is fucking unbearable. So stop. Stop running. Stop lying to yourself. And give us a real chance. Her throat tightened. What if it doesn't work? What if it does? What if you wake up one day and regret? Anna, he kissed her, soft and devastating. The only thing I'll regret is if I let you talk yourself out of this because you're terrified of being happy. So please, stop thinking yourself in circles and just be with me. For real, not just nights, not just secrets, be with me. She wanted to. God, she wanted to so badly it hurt. Okay, she whispered. His eyes widened. Okay. We can try, but Min-jun, if this doesn't work, if you change your mind. I won't. You can't know that. Yes, I can because I know myself, and I know what I want. He kissed her again, deeper. And I want you, every stubborn, scared, brilliant part of you. She let herself believe him. It was terrifying and perfect, and absolutely inevitable. Week 8. Being with Min-jun was like standing in the eye of a hurricane, moments of perfect calm surrounded by chaos. He was attentive, demanding, impossible to ignore. He learned her schedule, showed up with coffee when she worked late, sent lunch to the hospital on her busiest days. He took her to dinner at restaurants where people stared but he didn't care, his hand possessive on her lower back, his eyes making it clear she was his. The sex was incendiary. He learned her body like he was studying for an exam, cataloging what made her gasp, what made her beg, what made her forget every reason this was complicated. But the whispers were getting louder. At the hospital, colleagues asked questions, raised eyebrows, made comments about robbing the cradle that they thought were jokes but landed like small cuts. In his world, it was worse. Anna didn't know the details. Min-jun kept that part of his life carefully separate, but she saw the tension in his shoulders when certain calls came through. Heard the edge in his voice when he spoke Korean too fast for her limited understanding. Tell me, she said one night, tracing the tattoo on his chest. Tell you what? What they're saying, your people about me. His jaw tightened. It doesn't matter. Min-jun. He sighed, pulling her closer. They think you're a weakness, that I'm distracted. There are some old guard leaders who already resent me for being young, for taking power the way I did. This gives them ammunition. Maybe they're right. They're not. He tilted her chin up, making her meet his eyes. You're not a weakness, Anna. You're the only thing keeping me human. That's a lot of pressure. I know, but it's true. He kissed her forehead. Ignore them, I do. But she couldn't, because she'd seen the way they looked at her the one time she'd met some of his associates, assessing, dismissive, like she was a problem to be solved. She was a surgeon. She saved lives. She'd built a reputation on competence and skill. And in his world, she was just the older woman sleeping with the boss. It shouldn't matter. It did. Week 12. The jealousy was getting worse. Anna hated herself for it, but she couldn't stop the burn every time she saw the women at Min-jun's clubs. Young, beautiful, throwing themselves at him with the confidence of people who knew they were wanted. He ignored them all, made it clear, publicly, repeatedly, that he was taken. It didn't stop them from trying. And it didn't stop Anna from feeling like she was waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're doing it again, Min-jun said one night, watching her across his dining table. Doing what? Thinking yourself into a spiral. He set down his wine. What is it this time? My age, your age, the fact that my life is dangerous. Pick your poison. All of the above. Anna. Did you see her, the woman at the bar earlier? The words burst out before she could stop them. She was stunning and young, and she looked at you like nothing. He stood, rounding the table to pull her up into his arms. She looked at me like I'm someone powerful and wealthy. You look at me like I'm Min-jun. There's a difference. Is there? Yes, his hands framed her face. You're jealous. I'm not. Don't lie, your pulse is racing. You're not meeting my eyes, you've been tense all night. He kissed her, thorough and possessive. You're jealous and it's driving me crazy because it means you care. Really care. Not just about the sex or the attention, about me. Of course I care. Then stop waiting for me to leave. Stop looking for reasons this won't work. His forehead pressed to hers. I'm not going anywhere. How many times do I have to prove that before you believe me? I'm trying. Try harder. It wasn't harsh, just honest. Because I love you, Anna, and watching you not believe that is killing me. Her breath caught. What? I love you. He said it like it was simple, like it was fact. I've probably loved you since you told me my man was lucky and walked away like you own the world. And I'm going to keep loving you even while you tie yourself in knots trying to find reasons to push me away. Tears stung her eyes. Min-jun. You don't have to say it back, not until you're ready, but stop lying to yourself about what this is. Stop pretending it's temporary or shallow or doomed. It's not. It's real, and it's permanent if you let it be. She kissed him instead of answering, pouring everything she couldn't say into the press of her mouth against his. He lifted her onto the table, his hands already working the zipper of her dress, and she let herself fall. Week 16. The attack came without warning. Anna was leaving the hospital late, past midnight, exhausted from an emergency surgery that had run long. The parking garage was mostly empty, her footsteps echoing. She never saw them coming. A hand clamped over her mouth. Arms dragged her backward. She tried to scream, to fight, but there were too many of them and they were professionals. A cloth pressed to her face. Chemical smell. Darkness. She woke to concrete and cold. Her head pounded, her vision blurry. She was in some kind of warehouse, hands zip-tied behind her back, ankles bound to a chair. Blood crusted her temple from where they'd hit her. 3 men stood nearby, speaking in rapid Korean. She caught Min-jun's name, heard laughter, cruel and satisfied. Then footsteps, slower, deliberate. An older man appeared, expensively dressed, with cold eyes and a smile that made her skin crawl. Dr. Kwon. His English was accented but clear. You're awake. Good. I was beginning to worry we'd used too much chloroform. Who are you? Someone who's going to teach Kang Min-jun a lesson about respecting his elders. He circled her chair. He's too young, too arrogant, too willing to break traditions. And you... He touched her hair, making her flinch. You're his weakness, the thing that proves he's not fit to lead. He'll kill you for this. He'll try, the man smiled. But first, he'll watch you die, and then he'll understand that power requires sacrifice, that attachments make you vulnerable. You're insane. I'm practical, he nodded to his men. Make sure she's comfortable, the ghost will be here soon. They left her alone. Anna tested her bonds, but they were professional grade. She couldn't move, couldn't escape, could only wait and pray that Min-jun had a plan that didn't get him killed. Time became meaningless, could have been minutes, could have been hours. Then gunfire. Shouts in Korean, more gunfire, chaos erupting somewhere in the warehouse. The door burst open. Min-jun stood there, gun in hand, blood splattered across his shirt. His eyes found her and something in his expression cracked, relief and rage in equal measure. Anna. Behind you. He spun, firing twice. A man dropped. More of his men poured in, securing the room. Min-jun crossed to her in 3 strides, knife appearing to cut her bonds. Are you hurt? I'm fine. Anna, are you hurt? His hands framed her face, searching for injuries. Just scared, Min-jun theirs. The older man appeared in the doorway, gun raised. Everything happened at once. Min-jun shoved Anna behind him. She saw the muzzle flash, heard Min-jun grunt in pain. He went down, blood blooming on his thigh. The older man smiled, walking forward. Too young, too weak, too attached. He raised the gun again, aimed at Min-jun's head. Anna didn't think. She grabbed the knife Min-jun had dropped, launched herself at the older man, drove the blade into his back with all her strength. "Leave him, my man, alone." The words ripped out of her, raw and desperate and completely honest. The older man stumbled. Min-jun's gun came up. One shot. The man dropped. Silence. Then Min-jun was staring at her, bleeding, eyes wide. "Did you just call me your man?" Anna started shaking. "You're bleeding." "Anna." He grabbed her wrist, pulling her down to him despite the bullet in his thigh. "Did you just call me your man? Why are you fighting for me?" "Because you're mine." The admission broke something open in her chest. "Because I love you, you idiot. Because the thought of watching you die." Her voice cracked. "I can't. So yes, you're my man, my stubborn, dangerous, impossible man. And if anyone wants to hurt you, they go through me first." His laugh was pained and triumphant. "Say it again." "Min-jun, you're bleeding." "Say it again." His hand fisted in her hair. "I've waited months to hear you admit it. Say it again, Anna." "I love you." Tears tracked down her face. "I love you so much it terrifies me. I love you and I'm sorry I made you wait so long to hear it." He kissed her, messy, desperate, tasting like blood and relief. "About fucking time." "You're delirious from blood loss." "I'm delirious from you finally admitting what we both knew." He winced. "Though yeah, probably should do something about the bleeding." She was already moving, physician mode activated, ripping fabric to make a tourniquet. His men were calling ambulances, securing the scene. "Anna." "Don't talk, save your strength." "Anna, look at me." She met his eyes. "I love you too, in case that wasn't clear." "You said it weeks ago, you idiot." "Yeah, but you said it back. That's new, that's..." He winced as she tightened the tourniquet. "That's everything." "Stop talking." "Can't, too happy." His hand found hers, bloody and shaking. "You stabbed someone for me." "I'd do worse." "Yeah." "Yeah." She kissed him, soft and fierce. "You're mine, Min-jun, and I don't share." "Good, because neither do I." The ambulance arrived. They tried to separate them. Anna refused. She rode with him to the hospital, holding his hand the entire way, and didn't care who saw or what they said. He was hers, she was his. Everything else could burn. 2 weeks later. Min-jun recovered quickly, younger, stronger, too stubborn to stay down for long. Anna barely left his side. The story made the news, sanitized, vague, but enough that people knew there'd been an attack, that she'd been taken, that he'd come for her. The whispers at the hospital changed. Less pity, more respect, maybe a little fear. Anna didn't care. She'd stopped caring what anyone thought the moment she'd driven that knife into someone's back screaming about her man. "You're starring," Min-jun said from the bed, looking unfairly good for someone who'd been shot. "I'm thinking." "Dangerous," he patted the bed beside him. "Come here." She settled against his side, careful of his healing leg. His arm came around her immediately, possessive and warm. "What are you thinking about?" "Us, how insane this is, how we almost..." Her throat tightened. "But we didn't." He kissed her hair. "We're here, we're alive, you love me, I love you, everything else is just noise. Your world is going to keep being dangerous." "Probably. People are going to keep talking, about the age gap, about me being inappropriate." "Let them." He tilted her chin up. "Anna, I don't care what they say. My world, your world, neither matters as much as this, as us, so they can whisper all they want. I'm not letting you go. What if I get scared again? Then I'll remind you why you fought for me, why you called me yours, why you love me even though it terrifies you." His smile was soft, devastating. I'm patient, remember? I'll wait out your spirals. Prove myself again and again if that's what you need. That's exhausting. You're worth it. She kissed him, slow and deep and full of promise. I love you, she said against his mouth. I know, you told me while stabbing someone. His grin was wicked. Sexiest thing I've ever seen, by the way. You're impossible. And you're mine, he pulled her closer. Say it again. I love you. No, the other thing. You're my man. Yeah, that. He looked stupidly happy. Never gets old. She laughed, settling against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Steady, strong, alive. They'd have more obstacles, more danger, more people who didn't understand or didn't approve. But she'd fought for him, claimed him, admitted what she felt. And she wasn't letting go. Not for anything. Not for anyone. He was hers. And she was his. Everything else could burn. 6 months later, Anna woke to sunlight and the warm weight of Min-jun's arm around her waist. They'd moved in together last month, his place, because it had better security, and she'd admitted she liked waking up to the view. She liked waking up to him more. Morning, he mumbled against her shoulder. Morning, she turned in his arms, studying his face, still devastating, still younger than her, still absolutely hers. You're starring again. I like looking at you. Yeah, he pulled her closer, even with bedhead and morning breath. Especially then, she traced the tattoo on his chest, the Korean script she'd learned meant strength. Min-jun. I'm happy. His eyes opened fully, searching hers. Yeah. Yeah, terrified but happy. Is that normal? For us, probably. He kissed her, soft and lazy. I'm happy too, in case you were wondering. Even though I'm old and stubborn, and occasionally try to push you away when I'm scared. Because you're stubborn, and you're not old, you're perfect. And I like when you try to push me away because it means I get to prove you wrong. His hand slid down her back. Again and again, as many times as it takes. That's a lot of proving. I've got time. His smile was wicked. Lots and lots of time. She kissed him, deep and thorough, pouring everything she felt into it. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he grinned. So, shower sex. You're insatiable. Only for you. He was already pulling her toward the bathroom. Come on, we have time before your shift. She let him pull her along, laughing, lighter than she'd felt in years. Maybe decades. This thing between them, dangerous, complicated, absolutely improbable, was real, was permanent. Was everything. 1 year later. The engagement ring was simple, a single diamond, elegant and understated. Anna stared at it on her finger, still not quite believing it was real. Min-jun had proposed last week. No fanfare, just the two of them in their penthouse, him on one knee looking nervous for the first time since she'd met him. Marry me, he'd said, simple, direct. You're insane, she'd replied. That's not an answer. Min-jun, I'm 46, you're 30, people will. Anna, he'd pulled her down to his level, hands framing her face. I don't care, I've never cared, I want you, for the rest of my life. I want to wake up to you every morning and fall asleep with you every night. I want to build something permanent with you, so marry me, please. She'd said yes. Obviously. Because she loved him, because he'd proven, again and again, that age was just a number, that their worlds could merge, that what they had was stronger than anyone's opinion. Now, 2 weeks until the wedding, Anna was trying on her dress in a boutique, while Sarah and her sister fussed around her. You look stunning, Sarah said. I look old. You look happy, her sister corrected, and that's what matters. Anna studied herself in the mirror. The dress was perfect, elegant, sophisticated, showing the body she'd maintained through discipline and Pilates. At 46, she didn't look it, and more importantly, she didn't care. She was marrying a man who loved her, who'd fought for her, who saw her as she was and wanted her anyway. Everything else was noise. The wedding. Min-jun stood at the altar, looking devastating in a tailored suit, the gold chain at his throat catching the light. His hands were shaking, barely noticeable, but Anna saw it. He was nervous. It made her love him more. She walked down the aisle alone. No one to give her away because she belonged to herself first, chose him second. When she reached him, his eyes were suspiciously bright. "You're beautiful," he whispered. "You're crying." Shut up, but he was smiling. The ceremony was short, intimate. His people and hers merged into something new. When the officiant said, "You may kiss your bride," Min-jun pulled her close and kissed her like he was claiming her all over again. The crowd erupted in applause. Anna didn't hear it. She only heard his heartbeat against hers, steady and sure and home. That night, Mrs. Kang. Anna looked up from where she was removing her earrings. "That's going to take some getting used to. You could have kept your name." "I know, but I wanted this." She turned to face him. "Wanted to be yours officially, completely." He crossed the room, pulling her into his arms. "You've been mine since that first night. The paperwork just makes it legal." Romantic. "I'm a practical man." He kissed her neck. "But I love you more than I thought I could love anything. Even your empire." "Even my empire." His hands found the zipper of her dress. "You're the only thing that matters, Anna. The only thing I'd burn everything down to protect." "That's intense." "That's us." The dress pooled at her feet. "Intense, impossible, perfect." She pulled him down to the bed, laughing. "Come here, husband." "Say it again." "Husband." His grin was blinding. "Never gets old." They fell into each other, familiar and new at once. The ring on her finger catching the moonlight as she touched him, claimed him, loved him. Outside, the city glittered. Inside, they created their own light. Dangerous, complicated, absolutely worth it. Everything they'd fought for. Everything they'd become. Together. Epilogue, 2 years later. Anna found Min-jun in his office, poring over contracts, looking exhausted. "Come to bed," she said from the doorway. He looked up, smiling. "Give me 10 minutes. "You said that an hour ago." She crossed to him, settling in his lap. "It's 2 a.m. The contracts will still be there tomorrow." "I know, he sighed, arms coming around her. "There's a lot happening." "When isn't there?" She kissed his temple. "But you need sleep, and I need you, so come to bed." He studied her face. "You're worried." "You're running yourself into the ground. So yes, I'm worried." "I'm fine." "Min-jun." She framed his face, making him meet her eyes. "I didn't fight for you just to watch you work yourself to death. Come to bed, please." He kissed her soft, grateful. "Okay, 10 minutes, I promise." "I'm timing you." She slid off his lap, heading for the bedroom, and he watched her go with a smile. 10 minutes later, he joined her, sliding into bed and pulling her against his chest. "Thank you," he murmured. "For what?" "Not giving up on me, on us, even when it was hard." She turned in his arms, studying his face. "You make it easy." "Liar." "Okay, you make it worth it." She kissed him. "And I love you, even when you work too much." "I love you too." He pulled her closer. "My stubborn, brilliant, perfect wife." "Your old wife." "My perfect wife," he corrected. "Age has nothing to do with it." She settled against his chest, listening to his heartbeat, and smiled. They'd survived kidnapping, attacks, the weight of 2 worlds judging them. They'd survive a few late nights too. Because they were partners, equals, bound by something stronger than blood or tradition or anyone's opinion. Love. Messy, complicated, absolutely worth fighting for. Everything they'd built. Everything they'd become. Together. If you enjoyed this story of Min-jun and Anna's intense journey from denial to devotion, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more dark romance stories. Drop a comment below telling me which moment made your heart race the most. Was it the kidnapping scene, the first confession, or that devastating proposal? I read every comment, and your feedback helps me create more stories you'll love. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.